Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. What do we have here? We have a little snapdragon bud, and we have a much bigger lily bud. I'm going to put the lily bud aside right now, and let's look at our little snapdragon bud. Let's bring it right up to the camera and introduce him properly. Let's get him focused. There we go. And so we see around the base of the lily bud the little green appendages. What are those? Ooh, those are sepals, right? Those are sepals. And what are these white things above the sepals? Inside the sepals. Those are petals. And the petals are joined to form a tube part way up. This is kind of a tube, and they separate at the top. How many petals are there? Exactly the same number of sepals. There happen to be 5 sepals down here. 5 sepals. And there's 5 petals. There's 2 in the back and 3 in the front. 1, 2, another one over there. And so, sepals and petals. Well, let's take these off. I'm going to do a quick little dissection here, and it's going to be kind of a rough dissection. I'm going to just kind of rip off the sepals and petals and see what's inside. One thing that's inside is yellow dust. What is that yellow dust? Ooh, I bet that's pollen, right? And so, I'm taking off the sepals. I'm taking off the petals. We'll just lay those aside. And we're not going to do it real pretty. We're just going to take them off. And what I have inside is a bunch of male parts. And so let's I'm going to take off all the male parts, and then I'm going to hold one up where we can see it more closely. And so 1, 2, 3, there go all the male parts. And so let me pick up one of these male parts and bring it up for a little closer look. There we go. Here's one right here, and let's get a good grip on it, and let's bring it up to the camera, and let's get this guy in good focus. Let's come on, there you go. And so what's this yellowish part up to the top? That is the what? The anther. And what am I holding on to? I'm holding on to the filament. Anther and filament. Now let's look at the female part of the flower. And the female part of the flower, sorry it's a little blurry, we'll get back up to you here in just a second. I'm going to finish taking off the sepals, off the female part, and we will, well, it didn't quite finish, and so here we go. We have a female part here. I'm going to grab it right in the middle of the style, and we'll bring it up here for a kind of a close look. Let's get you in focus there, little buddy. And so what we see here is the various parts. Up at the top we have the stigma, which doesn't look too much different. We have a style, and down here, still partly hidden by part of a sepal, we have the roundish ovary. Stigma, style, and ovary. So that is one variation on the flowering theme. A little hard to see because these parts are all so little. And so now, let's bring in this big guy right here. Let's bring in this lily bud. Let's get him a little better focus. And first of all, let me ask you this. How many petals does a lily have? And you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I get told by all the students, is 6. And I have to say, well, that's a great answer. Not a correct one, but it's a great answer. And why is it a great answer? Let's look underneath this lily flower. And wow. Do we see any sepals under there? Yes, we do. Say, oh, wait a minute, that's cheating. The sepals are the same colors as the petals. Well, they're not when the bud first forms. Here's a much younger lily bud. We see the sepals on the outside. They are greenish. But as that bud matures in lilies, the sepals turn the same color as petals. And so, now what's the answer to our question? How many sepals and petals do we have? We have 3 of each. And so let's take them off. You say, oh, you're going to do that? Yeah, I am. Here's 1 sepal. Here's 2 sepal. It's the outer circle. I'm taking off the outer circle of parts. And so this is a lily sepal. A sepal of this particular type of lily. That's a sepal. And doesn't look a whole lot different than the petals. And so we'll now take off the petals. 1, 2, and 3. And now we have 3 petals. And so now we're left with a lot of male parts. And so here's one of them. Boy, that's much bigger than it was in the other one, was it not? And so, what do we have here? At the top, we have, what is this up here? This is the anther, and what is this right here? This is the filament. Anther and filament. The whole thing is called the what? It's called the stamen. Alright, I'm going to take off all the male parts here. All the male parts. And male. And there happen to be 6 of them. 6. There we go. And what do I have now? I've got the female part, the pistil or carpel, attached to the receptacle. And so let me cut off the receptacle. And so now I have nothing but the pistil. See if I can get that a little sharper focus there. A little sharper focus. There we go. There we go. And so, what is at the top of the pistil? This part up here would be the what? The stigma. What am I holding in my hand right here? The style. And here is the very long ovary down here. And what's inside this ovary if we were to open it up? And I had a little bit better microscope than we have here. We don't have any microscope here, of course, but there's lots of ovules. Approximately 200 ovules in 6 rows inside that ovary. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are 2 of the variations on the generic flower theme. All right, that's it.